Hi, this is Kitty Wilkin. I'm back with my quilt on my super high-tech design floor. It's getting big enough, it doesn't fit on my design wall anymore. But I wanted to show you how I walked through the colors and how I used the insignia stack as the base of my rainbow and then filled in with other fabrics around. So I will very carefully hop off this chair and then let's take a closer look. High tech. Okay, so as I noted, I used the insignia fabrics as my base. In each of the stars, that's where the insignia fabrics reside. They are in the center star and those stars around the outside edge. What I did there is I used the insignia because it's a near solid. As you can see, I fussy cut. I can't help fussy cutting, but I fussy cut each one so that there's one motif inside each diamond. The center is a circle of bees, and then the outside edges are different motifs, and I didn't get too finicky with that, except I have a bee on the outside of each one. So that's what's consistent about it. Just an intentional choice to make it a little bit more intentional. And we'll talk over here. This is where it's gonna get fun. But so I started with my circle of insignia stars and I used those as a base. I have my 5 that ended up being, in between. Because if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, there we go, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on your coloring page. And then what I did is I just kind of built out from there. So off the pink, I chose pink from Diving Board, another Allison Glass fabric. Almost all fabrics in this quilt are Allison Glass. There are some exceptions, like the bunnies are from a cotton and steel, black and white. The fish are, I got that at my local quilt shop. It's for a designer for Andover Fabrics. I forget her name at the moment. I'll look it up and add it. And then these are from another cotton and steel line, but a lot of the fabrics I used are Allison Glass fabrics. I love her rainbow. She uses very highly saturated colors that flow really well between fabric lines. So like insignia and her diving board look wonderful together. These I fussy cut from her Art Theory fabrics, and those are just meant to be kind of a transition. You can see I fussy cut the center. It's going from like an orangey red to goldish, from like the limey goldy green to turquoise. I thought that was kind of exciting that I mostly got, purple to pink, pink to orange. I just really like those intentional details. You don't have to fussy cut yours. You really don't. You can choose to use, a different color fabric here to emphasize that kind of flower-like motif, or you cannot. These are also fussy cut from the same Art Theory panel. These are from Insignia. No, they're not. They're from Abacus, her black and white line. And so, but back to color theory. What I did is I basically worked out from here. I knew that from this pink, I'm gonna try and crawl on my quilt here. From this pink, I was working my way out to the pink star. And so I wanted everything along this line to be primarily pink. Once I started transitioning between the two though, like right here, this is my transition from pink to purple. And so this is primarily purple, this is primarily pink, this is my transition. Note that I used insignia solids here. By solids, I mean I fussy cut it, or I cut it so that there's no motif inside. Off the pink star, these pieces of the pie hex are all pink. Off the purple, these are purple. Off the blue, these are blue. This is just kind of one of the tricks I use to keep my flow coherent, to keep the transition looking kind of the same from one to the other. So in looking at pink, what I did here is I had the pink and the purple. Then to fill it in, I made on the top side of each one, primarily purple with a little pink, primarily pink with a little purple. And we move down, we've got purple and blue, primarily blue with a little purple, primarily purple with a little blue. that was my attempt. Some are a lot smoother than others. This one's pretty good. Red and pink, primarily red with a little pink, primarily pink with a little red. That one we're still working on. Let's see. Blue and teal, primarily blue with a little teal, primary teal with a little blue. And so by doing that, I kind of help start to bring these colors together. My next step out, I'm also doing color for the rest of the pie hexies in each of these sections. And so my goal with those are, again, mostly blue with a little teal, mostly teal with a little blue, and kind of trying to slowly transition. Mostly blue with a little purple, primarily purple with a little blue, and you know, there's more purple there, mostly purple with a little pink, mostly pink with a little purple. Now to choose fabrics that fit in these categories, that's where the fun comes in. Because you can have a fabric, like for example, let's see, two cut from the same. Well, let's take this one for example. Okay, this fabric, depending on where I cut, where I chose to cut, it had pink, goldy yellow, and blue. If I had cut it in a different way, it could have fit into a different color place, if that makes sense. Let me see if I find a different example. Okay. Let's see here. Let me grab the fabric. Didn't plan ahead enough. That's okay. Anyway, when you're looking at your fabric, I'll do another video on fussy cutting where I'll talk about this in a lot more detail. But when you're looking at your fabric, remember that the piece that you're cutting is relatively small. And so the fabric as a whole might not seem as like it would fit in the pink and purple range. Maybe there are other colors involved, but you can fussy cut a part that will fit in that transition. Or you can find an easy one like this print from Allison Glass Road Trip. A lot of these are from Road Trip on the outer edge. These are all Road Trip, Road Trip, Road Trip, Road Trip, Road Trip, Road Trip. This is perfect because you've got some red and you've got some pink, and it's a perfect transition. It's like one of my favorite smoothest transitions between colors. I'll rotate around here. Is going from the gold to the more limey green. And I dug deep in my Allison Glass stash, but as you can see, again, I have gold and limey green. This is supposed to be mostly gold with a little limey green, mostly limey green with a little gold. This is a way back print from Allison Glass's, I'm not even sure of the name, but one of her early prints. And this is Meadow from Sunprint 2016, I think, maybe 17. Maybe 17. But they fit perfectly with her insignia, which is kind of why I love using Allison Glass fabrics, because they all jive. There are many fabric designers who have fabric lines that are also consistent, so you can use whichever one speaks to you most. But these fabrics, you can see how the base of this fabric is very similar to this color, and the like design on it is very similar to this color. And then this, the base is very similar to this color, and the design is nearly identical to that color. So for me, in my mind, this is like a perfect transition. You've got your greeny yellow, and you're slowly blending to more and more and more and more gold. Now you're at your gold. And then I could have put these both together and those both together, but I wanted to do opposite. So it's kind of like blends and blends. And that's how I did my transition. Hopefully this is helpful. It's kind of a little bit of a tour into my quilt, and I will shoot more videos. I hope to address fussy cutting. Let's look over here. We'll do one more thing about choosing a transition. Some transitions are easier than others. That's one thing I wanted to address. I'm gonna walk on my quilt. Good thing my feet are clean. Some transitions are easier than others. This one's more of a challenging transition. So we've got a real dark reddish orange and then a greeny gold. Because the colors are so different, finding fabrics that will fit to kind of transition gets a little bit trickier. But these they're so similar, it's pretty easy to find, like, to transition from one to the other. Because it's drastic, that's kind of when you get to choose what you want to emphasize. So what I do, my method, is to pull all of my fabrics out. I get a stack of everything I have that has an orangey yellow, and like here's another example. This fabric, it looks mostly red, but if you fussy cut just that section, then it's mostly orange and gold with just a little bit of pink, and I meant pink, not red, you know that. Video. But keep that in mind when you're looking at fabrics, and pull ones that might have a spot that would fit. So like for this one, I thought, well, maybe there's orange and gold, that might fit there. And so just kind of pick all of your options. So I pull them all out, I bring them over, there we go, and I plop them down and I start playing. Now, first thing I look for is what I spoke about prior to this, is you've got your main base color and then you want to transition to this one. So find one where the base of the fabric is similar to this color and the design, is similar to where you're going. This fabric from Allison's new line Observatory actually is perfect because it's got a base of the bright orange and it has the focus, or like the detail, is in the goldy, the greenish gold color. So this is most likely the fabric I will choose to go in this spot and this spot. So next I had to decide what color will transition well. If I go with one that's really green, I feel like it might be too much of a sharp break. Sorry about that. So I'm kind of leaning toward going with, this one has a little bit of green and a little bit of a goldy, it's more of a yellow than an orange, but I feel like it's kind of between the spectrum of the greeny gold and orange. So I'm leaning toward this one. Another one in the running is this light orange, which I feel like is a little bit of a lighter, softer color that's not, it's kind of between the two, but not one or the other. But because this has this green, I probably will go with this one. So this transition block won't be as perfectly smooth as that one or that one, but it will still transition from one color to the next. And then I think when you pull out and you look at the quilt as a whole, it will all go with the flow. That's my hope. Let me know which one you would choose, and hopefully this is helpful in you choosing your colors for your Pollinate quilt. Have fun cutting, have fun sewing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do with it.